Hello and welcome. This is the Grizzly Thadams channel. My name is Thad. Today on my channel we're going to be looking at something called Gym Leader Challenge. You may already be familiar with it, and if you are not, that's totally fine. I'm going to do a little bit of explanation before we jump into talking about how Temporal Forces changes things in GLC. If you're not aware, GLC is an alternate format of the Pokemon trading card game in which the rules are pretty straightforward, and I will show them to you now. GLC, it's a singleton format, and it's monotype, meaning you can only have one of each card in your deck, and all the Pokemon can only be of one type. Now there are some, weird things like dual types that exist that you can play, but for the most part, if it has a lightning energy on the top right hand corner, you can put it in your deck. If it's a Pokemon. There are no rule box cards. That means no EXs, Vs, V-Stars, VMAXs, GX, Big EX, nothing like that. No A-Spec cards, and anything with the rule box in general. So you think of like break cards that have a break rule. Again, those are all excluded. Cards printed from black and white on, meaning you have the expanded card pool to pull from. And there is a small ban list. You can check that out below at glc.com. GymLeaderChallenge.com. I will have that put down below for you. That way, if you have any questions, you can consult the website because it knows more than I do. With that being said, we're going to take a look at a few things, and we're going to look at what changes, what's new, and what Temporal Forces brings to this format. As you can see here, I sort of have like a good idea for what we're talking about. We're going to divide today's topic up into trainer cards, Pokemon cards, energy cards. I'm going to go ahead and just say there's only one energy worth mentioning. It is the Mist energy. We're going to knock it out of the way. Probably won't play it in many, if any, GLC decks. It's really good in Standard, but outside of that, I don't see a good use for it in GLC. Maybe a colorless type deck could take advantage of it, but I don't know. Just because they can cheat energies into play sometimes, depending on the build. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and look at trainer cards. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, why do you have everything doubled up like this? And that is because most of the trainers that are in this set, some of the big names, some of the big ones, like Cypher Maniacs, Code Breaking, and Salvatore, and Rescue Board, have either a better variant or a direct reprint of their previous version. So, Cryptomaniac or Cypher Maniac, for instance, is just an exact reprint of Mallow. Salvatore is a spiritual reprint of Wally. Emergent or Rescue Board, there's like two other boards that are better than it, so I don't know if you really play it. But those are all cards worth mentioning. The big thing that comes with GLC is now, do you play Ball Guy? Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, Ball Guy lets you choose up to 3 different ball cards that are in your or cards that have ball in the name from your deck and put them in your hand. Great card, sometimes very useful for setting up. With that being said, I don't know if you play Ball Guy anymore, right? This may be controversial, but I think Buddy Poffin, the Buddy Poffin, sort of does it better, right? And you can play one less supporter. You can double down on your Bridgets or your Glorias, get better draw support. I just don't see Ball Guy being very useful in this format anymore. Setup cards like, for instance, Arvin are, I think, way more powerful now. Just being able to get you set up, getting your items, getting your tools like Team Evolution, getting your setup done faster, I think is the way to go. And I think for the most part, if you're playing Ball Guy, I think you just cut it for the Buddy Poffin. You could probably leave the rest of the ball cards in your deck, and you can utilize them later on in the game. Things when like in situations when you need to, rescue board or rescue stretcher a few things back into your deck, or super rod, ordinary rod, put things back in the deck, and then retrieve them with things like level balls, nest balls, quick balls, stuff like that. So you can use those cards later and not be so dependent on them for setup. So that's where I am with the Ball Guy conversation. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at 4 potentially useful cards. Things like Dangerous Jungle, which could be really good in some poison spread, poison, condition decks. There could be some utility in that. Metal gets Full Metal Lab, where you can take 30 less damage. I could see like a big, bulky, like Caparaja type deck. Caparaja, Earthworm, Samazenta all benefit from this stadium. I would argue there are better stadiums to play, things like Mount Coronet, Trainer's Court. I think all may just be better. But Full Metal Lab is an option if you want to go real tanky or bump up your stadium counts for counters. Cards like Morty's Conviction could be good. A lot of it could be a good like end game sort of like I need to draw to the bottom of my deck sort of card. Discard this card that you're not needing or are gonna have played, or it could be a good card that helps you get cards to the discard and draw a few cards in the meantime. There really hasn't been, and to my knowledge, I haven't checked Cardboard Warriors lately, but that's another good resource that I'll have down in the description to find deck lists and decks that are doing well or placing really high in online or in-person tournaments. But I haven't really seen much in the way of control. Area is a great control card and lets you view your opponent's hands, choose up 2 item cards, and just discard them. Super good. So let's start. Let's start off by talking about Pokemon. We're going to start with our 3 starter types here: Grass, Water, Fire. First thing I want to mention about Grass is you do get Rapska. Rapska is great for bench barrier. It's also an evolution Pokemon, which means you benefit from using Torterra, for instance. There's a new Turtwig, 80 HP, and takes 20 less. So very much, I believe there's a Wartortle with a very similar ability, or Squirtle has a very similar ability, but less HP. So it's a pretty heavy basic. 100 effective HP on a Turtwig. Pretty good. Can probably take a hit or two early game. Bramblegast has been brought up a few times in sort of these tanky setup grass decks. Things you could do is like play like Kricketune and Leavanny. Those are both really good options to make your Pokemon really tanky. Water. Not much really changes. The only real card that I could see and that I've actually been playtesting a lot with, and anybody around the Cleveland Akron area can tell you who plays GLC pretty frequently down at Full Grip with me, is all I do is talk about how much I love this Feraligatr card. It just is so cool. You have the ability to run things like Memory Capsule and Shrine of Memories, help you reuse the Feraligatr, use different attacks on it, and then you can go in with a Giant Wave and just absolutely demolish something that has like a Luxury Cape or just a ton of HP. I mean, you can see the Torterra just to the left here has a ton of HP, and that Giant Wave lets you get through it. I put what I think are the optimal Croconaw and Totodile cards below. Totodile has a Leer attack, lets you, I believe, paralyze on a coin flip, and Croconaw lets you just move to the active and just absorbs energy when it moves to the active. In some of my testing, I did find that energy acceleration was a problem, so I threw in a 1/1 line of Frostmoth. I took John Patterson's list, and you can find the Frog and Toad list on GeoMeterChallenge.com. I took his list, and I sort of made a few changes of my own to make Feraligatr work within it. Outside of that, we're going to move on to Fire. There is really nothing new for Fire. I do have it pulled up here for the Victini and the Turtonator, and they aren't really great, but they could potentially see use. I mean, Fire is definitely a type that could use as much support as possible. Once I get this website to load, I'll show you. I'll tell you. All right, where we reloaded. So the Victini, for a colorless energy, lets you shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6 cards. Not bad for setup. Early game, not too bad. Burn Away is its second attack. It's 30 damage, and you discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Again, not too bad, but I just threw it in there because fire really doesn't got a lot going on here in Temporal Forces. There's a Torcat line, but I don't know if anyone's playing Incineroar in any competitive capacity. You have the Turtonator. Its first attack is the only one worth mentioning. So this attack does 40 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So good for fire spread. I'm currently blocking it right now, but I put a Ho-Oh from Celebrations below it. Maybe there's an idea for a fire spread deck in there somewhere. Maybe. With like the Heatmore and I don't know. Fire is just in a bad place. Of course, I keep skipping to the next slide. This slide we are on has Electric, Psychic, and Fighting. Electric really just gets the Raichu, allows you to spread 50 damage to Pokemon that already have damage counters on them. Lightning spread already exists. You can see the amazing Raikou and Electivire that they currently use. So Raichu is kind of a natural fit in that. Potential here for Psychic is the Bronzong. The Evolution Jammer just stops things from evolving. And the Fluttermane with the ability to just stop all other abilities in the active and spreads 2 damage counters and 90 damage to the active. Fighting. Again, fighting is just like fire. It's in sort of an odd place in the format. It doesn't get too much support here. You get potential mill with Great Tusk. I know there's other mill potentials in the format. My good friend Dallas down at Full Grip has been working on a very interesting fighting deck that does mill and, you know, a bunch of shenanigans. There's a Drillbur and a Relicanth. Relicanth has a lot of potential. John Patterson, who I've already mentioned before, has a pretty good idea for that Relicanth. And the Drillbur can be good with a card very well alongside a card like Colossal, where the Drillbur just lets you get 2 energies out of your deck and put it in the discard. And then you can accelerate energy like that with Colossal. It's an idea. You can do it. I don't suggest it. Next up, the only Darkness type Pokemon I could even really muster any sort of like ideas with was like maybe this is your optimal Haunter now. If you run like a Gengar, you know, poison deck, condition deck, I don't know. It's bad. It's bad. Okay. Metal type, you now get Matang. There is a pretty cool metal that's for 5 energy, hit for 230, 160 HP on a stage 1. Not too bad. The Matang, though, is the one worth noting. The Metal Maker ability, like your top 4 cards, accelerate any energy you see there, any metal energy you see there to your Pokemon in play. And then they go to the bottom of the deck. So, pretty cool. Lets you chew through your deck a little bit. A little bit of energy acceleration. Not quite sure how useful it will be, though. We will see. Colorless. So I put Dragon and Colorless together. There are no Dragon types worth mentioning. They're both, the single prizes from the set are both traded. So there's the Ancient and the Future type, the Miraidon and the Crydon. You will not be using those in your Dragon type GLC deck, I can promise you. Next set, we do get a good Dragon type. We get the Applin. So watch out for Twilight Masquerade. That'd be awesome for Dragon. Colorless gets the Dunsparce. Let you just shuffle it back. Let you draw 3 cards, shuffle it back in the deck, and keep going. There is a Dunsparce in the set that has free retreat. Don't know if you play that one or not, but it is an option. There is also a Knockdown in the set that does 70 damage, and you just go get 2 cards out of your deck. So quick, easy, stage 1 to use. I believe it uses a DCE, DTE, just a double go, just 2 energy for the attack. Not too bad. And that's it. That's all I got for Temporal Forces. Not much going on in this set for GLC. I do not see a reason why we would be making any big changes to our decks, other than maybe the potential of switching out Ball Guy. Again, something worth considering. And again, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please throw it in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Thad. You've been watching the Grizzly Thados channel. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you guys very much, and you guys have a great day.